Well, a bit more in lesson 36. Hiphil-jussives and preterites. For the shortened form of the hiphil third hay verb, the apocryphated jussive and preterite, two patterns of vocalizations are possible. In the following list, X is used as a placeholder for the first and second root of the letter. So, number one, the yod with a patah under it, the form may appear as a doubly closed monosyllable retaining prefix vowel patah characteristic of the hiphil. So, for example, if you have patah, he will enlarge and make it an imperfect. Hiphil, he will enlarge yafteh. When you make it jussive, you'll drop the segol hey, but you may keep the patah vowel and you may get yafta, yafta. Same thing with shaka, which means to drink, and then the hiphil would mean to give drink, to water. And the hiphil form of the imperfect would be yashke, and you could end up with the form yashka, yashka, let him water. On the other hand, in a form like yavbe, from rabah, to multiply, the hiphil of that, to make much or make many of, increase the greatness of. When you make a jussive form of that, well, the form you'd expect would be maybe yarb, but that consonantal cluster bothered them, and they ended up breaking it up into yareb, treating it almost like a sigilate noun, and that would mean may he multiply. So if the hiphil rabah means to multiply, the jussive would be may he, or let him multiply. Now, when you compare forms with the cow, they do get pretty close at times. And so if you have bana, to build, yivne would be the imperfect, yavne would be the hiphil. Consonants are all the same. The only difference would be one vowel, patah rather than hirik. The vav consecutives get even more close and more confusing. And so if you say, and he built, that'd be vai yibain with a hirik and a segol. But then the hiphil form would be a vai yeven with a segol, very close. And then the jussive, you drop the segol hey, and then often treat what's left like a sigilate noun. You could get the jussive form, let him build, yevin, or yevin. But then with the hiphil, you could get yevin or yavn. Now, this is all very confusing and difficult, especially to try to remember all these things. But remember that when you see it in context, and that's how the Masoretes are vocalizing these forms that have the same consonants, they are deciding, well, does the meaning need to be a cow meaning, or does the meaning need to be a hiphil meaning? If it's a hiphil meaning, they vocalize it as a hiphil. If it's a cow meaning, they vocalize it as a cow. And in context, it's usually pretty clear whether it should be a hiphil or whether it should be a cow form, even if they do look a lot alike. Vocabulary, he gives you a bunch of third hay verbs. Baka, to weep. And then he gives you the vav consecutive form. Bana, to build. And then the nifel would be to be built. And then gala, to uncover, remove, reveal. And the kala, to be finished or completed. Kasa, to cover or conceal in the cow, to be covered in the nifal. to cover something, it makes it transitive. More so in the PL, cover, conceal, or even clothe. Would be multiplying the action. And then pana means to turn or to turn away, and he gives you a couple of consecutive forms. And then pata, to be simple, related to the noun pati, which is simple or naive, used as a character in the book of Psalms quite often. Then he gives you a form that occurs in the PL, siva. It's the third hey type, means to command or to appoint. And then kana, to get or to acquire, as in to acquire a slave or the like. And then vayikan would be the vav consecutive form. There's a homonym kana that means to create, and you need the context to know which one is meant. And then ra'ah, to see or perceive, very common word. Often in the imperfect will show up as yir'eh, but then the preterite form would be vayar, where the aleph becomes quiescent. And then there's a nifal form that means to appear, and the hifio would be to cause to see or to show someone something. And then bana means to be or become much or many. The pio means to make many, and the hifio would mean to multiply, to increase something, to increase the muchness or the greatness of. And then ra'ah is not related to the word for bad, but it means to guide or tend sheep like a shepherd. And indeed the participle ro'eh actually means a shepherd. He gives you that participle form. And the jussive, you drop the hey and you end up with yera, let him tend, guide, or shepherd. And then you get shaka, which is in the cow means to drink, but in the hifio means to give water to give drink to. And this verb is used in the place of any hifio form of shata. And then shata in the cow means to drink. It's shaka is rare, shata is more common. And again, he gives you the vav consecutive form with a preterite. Nouns, mikneh is property, cattle, or possession, related to the verb kana, to get or acquire. And so the mem was something acquired. And then mar'eh is an appearance, related to ra'ah, to see. And so it is something that is seen, that is an appearance, a sight, even a vision. So as usual, you'll do some translation into English of some of these new forms with third hays, and you'll translate some sentences as well, including a big section here from Jeremiah, several verses in a row, which should be encouraging to you that now you can do that. I now move to the exercises and climats to practice some forms, practice recognizing forms. So number one, here we have yevk, yevk. So first of all, we need to pick out the root. The root is going to be bet, kaf, and a hey that's missing, baka. The yod is the preformative, and this is the shortened form, which means it will be the jussive form. Baka means to cry or to weep, and so yevk means let him weep. Moving on to number two, you get konav, and that kamatz yod vav is a suffix on some sort of a plural noun, and so that would be his, whatever the rest of it means. The o vowel indicates that's a cal active participle. The root will be kana, to acquire or buy, and so konav would be those acquiring him, his buyers, or depending on the antecedent, it could be its buyers. and it's ambiguous whether they are buying him or it, or whether they are selling something to those who are buying and acquiring. The next one is bano, and that would be a cal infinitive absolute from bana, having to do with building. Used as infinitive absolutes typically are to make more emphatic the verb, or make it more continuous, depending on exactly how it's used. Number 4, you get a hit kasoto. Hit kasoto. And the hit part is going to be a hithpael. And the ot ending is the ending of the infinitive construct of a third hey type verb. And on that infinitive construct, you're going to have an o ending, his or it. Kasa means to hide or cover. So hit the kasot would be covering him, or his covering. Either he is covering or someone else is covering him, although the hithpael makes it likely reflexive, his covering himself. Number 5, yera'u. Now, just looking at the consonants, there's some ambiguity as to, is this from yare, to be afraid, or is it from ra'ah, to see? Now, given the chapters on third hey, you might want to guess it's a hey. And the sere is going to, you have a sere here and then a kamatz under the resh. The kamatz is the kamatz of the nifal imperfect, third masculine plural, from ra'ah to see. They will be seen, or they will be visible, or something along those lines. If it were yare, it would be, you wouldn't have the sere on the yod, and the other vowels, under the vowel and the resh, would be different too. Number 6, vayakul. You have a vav with a patah under it, which suggests that this is a vav consecutive form, which implies that what follows must be a preterite. The preterite that would have a kibbutz suggests that it would be some sort of a pual form. The root would be kala, to finish. And so this would mean, and he or it was finished. Number 7, ter eina. The root is resh aleph hey, ra'ah, which has to do with seeing, to see. The yod shows up in this form, which is the real root of the form, not resh aleph hey, but resh aleph yod. Has a prefix t, has a na ending. That's either second feminine plural or third feminine plural, and it means either you ladies will see, or them ladies will see. And number 8, nashke. First thing we need to try to do is pick out the root. It looks like it's going to be sheen, kaf, hey, which in the hiphil means to give drink to water. And the noon will be the noon of the preformative, and the patah is the vowel that goes with the hiphil. So this is a hiphil imperfect first common plural. It could also be jussive, as it turns out, since you can't tell the difference with the third hey types. So it either means we will give drink, or let us give drink. When you get the number 9, yerev, the vowel pattern is that of a hiphil from rabbah, and it means let him multiply. And that's all we have time for